Welcome to the Beaumont Manufacturing and Distribution Training and Repair Series, where we break down essential valve maintenance with clarity and precision. In this first episode, we will be doing a complete teardown and rebuild of our CV10 control valve. Shown here is the list of tools required for the repair. First, note the height of the adjusting screw so that it can be put back to the same setting when rebuilding the valve. Loosen the adjusting screw lock nut. Next, unthread the adjusting screw until all the tension is removed from the actuator spring. Use a hammer to loosen the hammer nut until it can be turned by hand. Be sure to keep the actuator housing from rotating with the hammer nut. If the housing is allowed to rotate on the body, it can damage the valve trim. Once the hammer nut is completely unthreaded, the entire top works can be removed. Remove the cage from the valve body using a cage removal tool and remove the cage O-ring. Lay the top works on its side and support the plug so that it can be removed from the valve stem. Use a 9/16 wrench to loosen the jam nut on the back side of the plug. Using an 1/8" punch, drive the roll pin out through the opposite side of the plug. Unthread the plug from the stem, then remove the packing washer, jam nut, and packing spring to allow access to the rest of the packing set. Remove the packing plug O-ring, then use a pick to remove the two spherical washers. The packing set can be removed with a pick, but it is difficult and usually results in ruining the packing. If compressed air is available, the packing can easily be removed by applying low-pressure air to the weep hole in the side of the packing plug. Use caution when employing this method because the packing and upper packing retainer will be ejected rapidly. To disassemble the actuator housing, remove the nuts and bolt holding the upper and lower actuator housings together. Remove the upper housing and take off the spring and spring plate. Take hold of the diaphragm assembly and pull it from the lower housing assembly. The Teflon bushing can now be removed using a punch to push it out from the top side of the packing plug. Use a pick to remove the stem O-ring from the upper bore of the packing plug. Begin disassembling the diaphragm assembly by using two 9/16 wrenches to loosen and remove the jam nut and standard nut from the diaphragm assembly. Remove the lock nut and spring plate washer followed by the diaphragm plate. Take off the small diaphragm O-ring. Finally, remove the diaphragm and lower bearing washer. Now that the valve is completely disassembled, inspect all parts for wear and damage. Clean up existing parts and replace damaged parts as needed. BMD recommends replacing all O-rings and packing when rebuilding a valve. Repair kits are available through our distributors and reps. To reassemble the valve, start by rebuilding the diaphragm assembly. Make sure the lower nut is almost at the end of the stem threads. Place the lower bearing washer on next, followed by the diaphragm. It is best to turn the diaphragm so that it threads its way down the stem to ensure it is flush with the bearing washer. Next, put on the diaphragm O-ring, diaphragm plate, spring plate washer, and lock washer. Thread on and tighten the standard nut, followed by the jam nut. Reinstall the packing plug O-ring. Next, apply grease to the threads at the end of the stem, then place the diaphragm assembly onto the lower housing assembly. Use caution during this step to prevent damaging the packing plug O-ring. Put the spring and upper spring plate back onto the diaphragm plate, then place the upper housing back onto the lower housing. Reinstall all the housing nuts and bolts, remembering to put back on the nameplate as well. Now that the actuator housing is reassembled, the packing can be installed. The standard packing kit comprises these parts in order of assembly from left to right. To ensure the longest possible packing life, BMD recommends greasing the packing using a synthetic multi-purpose grease. Apply it between each packing ring, then restack the rings. Each ring set needs a bottom ring followed by 5 V-rings and an upper ring. To install the packing kit, start with the Teflon bushing. Make sure that the small cross holes are facing toward the end of the stem. Next, slide the upper packing retainer over the stem. A short piece of hollow tube can be used to gently tap the retainer and bushing into place. Push the packing set over the stem, making sure that the larger upper ring goes in first. Install the top spherical washer next with the flat side toward the valve and the concave side facing toward the end of the stem. Then install the bottom spherical washer with its convex side facing the top spherical washer so that the two nest together. Finally, put in the packing spring and packing washer and thread on the lower stem nut. Reinstall the packing plug O-ring. The valve trim can now be installed. A trim repair kit contains the cage O-ring, the cage, the plug, and the roll pin. Trim kits come lapped and ready to install from the factory. To install the trim, thread the plug onto the stem until the cross holes align. Place a punch through the holes to make sure they are fully aligned. Support the plug using a small block, then insert the roll pin into the side of the plug. Tap the roll pin into place until it is roughly centered. Tighten the nut on the back side of the plug. Install the cage O-ring onto the cage. Grease the cage O-ring, then install the cage into the body and press it down until it seats inside the body. The end of a hammer works well for this. Grease the packing plug O-ring, then place the Topworks assembly back onto the body. Thread down the hammer nut and use a hammer to tighten it completely. Check the tightness by trying to turn the Topworks on the body. It should not turn if the hammer nut has been completely tightened. Retighten the adjusting screw to its previous height, then tighten the adjusting screw lock nut. Thanks for watching, and please visit Beaumont Manufacturing.com for more information and resources on all of our products.